Okay. All right. We'll call this meeting to order.
All rise. Oh yes, this county commission meeting of Sumner County is now open pursuant to adjournment. God bless this country and this honorable commission. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Weatherford. Dr. Aaron Allison, our pastor tonight, is the lead pastor of CIL, Christ is Love Church at 1004 Drakes Creek Road, Hendersonville. He grew up in Texas and has been the lead pastor of CIL since 2008. He holds a Doctor of Education from Union University, a Master of Arts in Leadership from Southeastern University, and a Bachelor in Religion degrees from Mid-America Nazarene University. And he and his wife Beth have 3 children, and if you ever had a chance to know Aaron, he's an outstanding human being in person. We're glad to have him with us tonight to offer our invocation. I will ask that you keep Danny Sullivan in your prayers. He passed a kidney stone and he had to head out of town as a result. So we're thankful for that Danny's out of the pain he was enduring. We also want to extend congratulations to Mike Guthrie on his new position and pray for him during that transition. And lastly, on a serious note, Caroline Kruger's daughter she was exposed. Caroline and she were exposed last week, but daughter became symptomatic today. And if you know, Emma Sinclair has a lot of health conditions, and so we want to lift Emma Sinclair and Caroline up in our prayers. Pastor Allison.
Thank you. Would you join me in prayer? Almighty God, we ask for the blessing of your favor upon Sumner County, its people, and this commission. We pray for those who were mentioned by Commissioner Langford, that you would give them strength and healing in their recovery. Help our leaders lead with wisdom and courage. Let there be a spirit of cooperation between leaders, citizens, and all stakeholders in our cities, neighborhood, and schools. Strengthen our first responders and medical professionals as they care for the sick. Heal our land from the coronavirus. May you bless the men and women of this commission with health, clarity, guidance, peace, kindness, joy, and every good thing that comes from you. May they be a blessing to the people. I ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
If you will, salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's check our roll.
Roll call is now open. Each commissioner, please record your presence.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kemp. All right, 22 members present. Thank you for our roll call. Our regular agenda, consent agenda are on, I think, Mr. Good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We accidentally left off, and I want to add to report of the chair, item C, nominations for chair and pro tem.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Good. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Shell. So we're adding as item C, what we've done traditionally in August in a non-election year is go ahead and elect chair and vice chair or pro tem so that we can roll on in September. All right, so a motion's been made and properly seconded. All in favor to add that item to our agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Your minutes are in your packet. Is there a motion to approve our minutes? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me back up just a minute. Now we need a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Motion made by Commissioner Foster, second by Commissioner Ring. See no one in the queue. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Now to our minutes. Is there a motion to approve our minutes? Commissioner Tucker, is there a second? Commissioner Graves, I see no discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, does anyone wish to sign up to speak tonight on an agenda item?
Anyone wish to sign up that has not already?
Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Mansfield.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess normally I didn't hear you say we are approving the consent agenda as well, just a regular agenda, so I was wanting to pull 2 items off the consent agenda.
Okay, we haven't,
Just
okay.
making sure.
I got you, okay. Which 2 did you want to pull off the consent agenda?
2108-08 and 2108-16.
Okay, without objection, we'll move those to the Budget Committee report. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mansfield. All right. Announcements from the chair. Your veteran service report is in your packet. We have, I'm going to yield the floor now to Commissioner Ring.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If the American Legion baseball team would like to come forward with their coaches. Just come around behind me and on this side too. So you're good. A resolution honoring the American Legion Gallatin Post 17 baseball team. Whereas the American Legion Gallatin Post 17 baseball team, led by coaches Mark Wilson, Brett Thaler, Mike Neal, and Chase Terry, have completed their regular season of play with a remarkable record of 27 wins and 5 losses. And whereas the American Legion Gallatin Post 17 baseball team played with pride and spirit, and throughout their diligent efforts have brought honor to themselves, American Legion Gallatin Post 17 and Sumner County by their outstanding performances. And whereas the American Legion Gallatin Post 17 baseball team's outstanding 21 season had many highlights, including defeating Portland 5-1, and the state title marks the first for the 17 and under team and the 9th state championship team for American Legion Post's history. Whereas W.A. Douglas, Cade Martin, Jacob Smith, Eli Siltman, Thomas Harrison, Mitch Victor, Jake Thompson, Austin Neal, Landon Ward, Brandon Ratt, Luke Cook, Ethan Floyd, Jordan McDonald, Carter Whitefield played with pride and dignity, and through their diligent efforts had demonstrated the benefits of hard work and dedication. And whereas the dedicated staff of the American Legion Post 17, Greg Johnson, Gary Wallen, Charles Jackson, and Jerry Bell, supported the team during their season and championship run. Now therefore be it resolved by the Sumner County Board of County Commissioners, meeting in regular session for the 16th day of August 2021, that this body does hereby congratulate and commend the American Legion Gallatin Post 17 baseball team for their outstanding season, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall be spread on the minutes of the body, and the clerk is to furnish a copy of the resolution to the American Legion Post 17 baseball team, and I so move.
Motion made by Commissioner Ring. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Want to say something? Any of the coaches want to say anything?
Commissioners, we want to thank you for the recognition that you've given us. We humbly accept it. We are very proud to represent Post 17 and Gallatin, but also Sumner County. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We very much appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Congratulations. We're really excited for y'all.
Thank you all.
Thanks so much and congratulations. We look forward to great things this baseball season. All right. Consent agenda minus the 2 items that we removed. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion made by Commissioner DeWitt. Is there a second? It's got a second by Commissioner Tinsley. I see no one in the queue. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, I had some background noise. I think I heard Commissioner Mo Taylor and then Commissioner Mansfield. Were you no? Okay, sorry. So Commissioner Mansfield, Commissioner Mo Taylor is a no. So by a margin of 21 to 1, consent agenda passes. All right. Mr. Good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, are we on C?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I humbly rise to my colleagues here to reappoint and make the nomination for Chairman Lankford to remain the Commission Chairman for this coming year, and I so move.
Okay. All right, motion made by Commissioner Good, seconded by Commissioner Shale. Are there any other nominations for Chair?
Yes, I would like to nominate Commissioner Mo Taylor.
Okay. All right, is there a second? Okay, Commissioner Graves. So I got a motion by Commissioner Mansfield, second by Commissioner Graves. Any other nominations? Okay. Commissioner Wright would like to nominate Mr. Becker. Okay, Mr. Becker declines. All right. Is there a motion to cease nominations? Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Hinton, seconded by Commissioner Foster. All in favor of ceasing nominations, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, so let's see. Okay, we're going to get the board set up. For these nominations tonight for chair and vice chair, we'll just do green and red. We'll do it alphabetically. Is that fair to everybody? So on this one, if you're voting for me, it'll be green. If you're voting for Commissioner Mo Taylor, it'll be red. We'll give Mr. Kemp a second to get the board set up.
All right, we've got Langford will be recorded with the green button. Taylor will be recorded with the red button. Any questions? Mr. Chairman, you ready?
Yes, sir. Let's vote.
Each commissioner, if you will record your vote. "20 votes are entered. Anyone not voting wishing to vote? Anyone wishing to change your vote? With 17 votes, Langford is elected chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kemp. All right, do we have any nominations for vice chair? Yes, Mr. Taylor. All right, we've got a nomination for Commissioner Chris Taylor. Is there a second by Commissioner Stewart? Mr. Tinsley.
Never mind.
Okay. Okay. All right, any other nominations? Okay, thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Second to cease nominations? Second by Commissioner Mansfield. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, we will now at this point take a vote on Mr. Becker. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Mr. Becker. It's too late for that, Mr. Becker. Too late for that. Congratulations, Mr. Becker. Mr. Becker will be our pro tem vice chair in the coming year. And we'll move on. Your county officials' reports are in your packet. Is there a motion? We're going to see if we can keep the streak alive on notaries. Is there a motion to approve our notaries? Motion made by Commissioner Ring. Is there a second? Commissioner Graves, second. Let's vote.
Notaries are on the board. Each commissioner, please record your vote. All 22 votes are entered. Does anyone wish to change your vote? Notaries are elected unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Kemp. Streak stays alive. Okay. Got standing committees. Mr. Good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are the committees on the table?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, without objection while the slate is being passed out, we'll go ahead and do the agenda on here. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Library Board, Committee on Committees met tonight in its regular scheduled meeting, August 16, 2021. And the Library Board, there was a recommendation that Dennis Clary, from what I was understanding, is appointed to the Library Board. It was unanimous, and I so move.
Motion made by Commissioner Good, second by Commissioner DeWitt. Mr. Hinton.
To the best of my knowledge, this is the first time anybody's been offered up for appointment to the Library Board that was on a full-time salary with the county.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to vote against that because I believe that's crossing a line that I'd rather we didn't cross.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Hinton. All right, see no one else, Commissioner Mo Taylor.
Yeah, nothing personal against the nominee, but I didn't support increasing the members on the library board, and I'm not going to support this.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Taylor. I see no one else in the queue. Let's vote. Sorry. We'll vote in just a second.
All right, we're going to, just a yes vote. We're going to vote under Amendment 1. Yes vote is in favor of the nominee, and no vote is against the nominee. All right, each commissioner, please record your vote. "21 votes are entered. All 22 votes are entered. Does anyone wish to change your vote? With 15 affirmative votes, Mr. Carey is elected.
Okay. Commissioner Goode?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Health, Education, Housing Facilities, County Mayor recommended 6-year term Sean Fennell and Jean. I apologize. I'm telling you about September. Blah, blah, blah. Got a little excited. That's next month. And the Airport Authority that you see on here, that actually is full, so that is actually a position that's not going to be filled. Back up to standing committees, Mr. Chairman. Everyone has on their desk the slate this year for committees. I'm really happy to say what I'm about to tell you is that this is the first time in the history of this commission that I've been here that everybody has gotten at least their first choice, in most cases their second choice. So we are trying to be as fair as humanly possible. We have the sheets in front of you, Mr. Chairman. It was unanimous in committee, and I so move. And what we will do is, like we did the last couple of years, if there's a committee that you are on that you don't want to be on, submit to committee on committees that you want that to come off. Committee on committees will take that again up in next month. And as each committee meets going forward, as we've done the last couple of years, every time you meet, that committee will pick their chair and vice chair going forward. As for legislative next month, the sitting chair will remain chair until that position is changed, if changed. And that's the slate. It was unanimous, and I so move.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Goode, second by Commissioner Stewart. I see no one in the queue to speak. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Bagert, I owe you an apology. I had looked earlier and no one had signed, and so I didn't think anybody had signed up, so I apologize. I missed you earlier for public comment. So if you'd like to come make your comment now, you'll have 5 minutes. And I apologize.
Kevin Bagert, 424 A.B. Wade Road. I'd like to speak on consent agenda 210808. I know this commission sets historical precedences just about every meeting. I mean, it's without exception, we sit here and listen to all these exceptional actions. Well, we're going to spend $200,000 to replace the edifice on this building. First of all, it doesn't meet OSHA requirements for fall protection, okay, if you just replace it the way it is. All those posts are penetrations that make leak points for the roof. I mean, there's nothing about $200,000 to repair that when you could do it for a fraction of that, have a better, more sound building, put in a few anchor points for fall protection for OSHA, and save the county probably $150,000. So there's nothing conservative about $200,000. And I don't know. I mean, the other thing that I want to talk about is we're spending $5,800 on insurance for our new mobile command center. It would be interesting to know down the road what the total combined cost, operating expense is for that year over year. You know, we spent that money, 1 point something million from our COVID money, but we're going to have to bear the burden of that fancy RV for years going forward, and then the depreciation of it. But anyhow, just wanted to go on record that the $200,000 is excessive and not at all conservative. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bagert. And again, I do apologize for missing that earlier. All right, Mr. Good, did you have anything else for Committee on Committees? No, sir, thank you. Okay. All right, Education, do we have a vice chair to give a report?
Oh, thank you, sir. No report.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Ring.
I was looking for something, I can't find my agenda.
Okay. Highways, Mr. Hinton. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hinton. General Ops, Ms. Shell. Okay, thank you. Emergency Services, Mr. Driver. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Driver. Financial Management, Mr. Becker. No report. Okay, thank you, Mr. Becker. Legislative Committee, Mr. Ring.
Yes, sir. I'll need to address something after we've dealt with this anyway. So 2108-01, a resolution designating a section of Highway 109 as Gold Star Family Highway, and I make the motion.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Ring, second by Commissioner Wright.
May I speak to this?
Sure.
Okay. We're doing this, and it'll be sent off to the state, and the state will designate what section of the highway is designated as Gold Star Family Highway. It'll be a section in Sumner County, in my understanding. So we're not going to spend an hour and a half discussing which section should it be, because we have no say over the matter. So.
Thank you, Mr. Ring. I think, not to go too far out of bounds on this resolution, but I think if you watched the imagery last night from Afghanistan, I know a number of my classmates served multiple tours in Afghanistan. Several of my friends were killed there, and it really brings home, taking whatever we can to honor those who served and spilled blood. So I'm glad that I'm really thrilled and excited that we're doing this, and keep those, not just our men and women that served so bravely in Afghanistan, but the families of the interpreters and the Special Forces soldiers and the many others that are in harm's way that helped us for the 20 years we were there. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers as well. But I see no one else in the queue. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
And thank you, sir. You may have seen the notice that next Monday night will be the first meeting of the redistricting committee. I've talked to the gentleman from the state who'll be working with us. He will be there. He told us we will not be getting numbers that night. Okay? What we'll be getting is kind of an introduction to what we'll be doing and that type of information. So don't come expecting us to start doing numbers or moving districts around or anything, because we won't be doing that night. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ring. Budget Committee, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, sir. 2108-02, docketing approval letter from the Tennessee Comptroller of the Treasury for the fiscal year 2022 budget. I so move, and this is just simply putting the letter in place that says we did a good job.
Okay. All right. Motion by Commissioner Chris Taylor, second by Commissioner Foster. I see no one in the queue. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Taylor.
Yes, sir. 2108-03, approving technology infrastructure bid for the Liberty Creek Elementary and Liberty Creek High School. These are ones that they already have the funds available and in place. I so move.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Chris Taylor. Second by Commissioner Foster. I see no one else in the queue. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I got 2 noes, Commissioner Mo Taylor and Commissioner Jeremy Mansfield. So by a vote of 20-2, I have this resolution passing. All right, Commissioner Taylor.
Yes, sir. 2108-04, appropriating up to $5 million of the American Recovery Funds for broadband services. County Mayor and Senator Hale worked out one where this is actually going to supplement us, hopefully with the state, where they're going to have a matching amount of about maybe $15 million. So I so move.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Chris Taylor, seconded by Commissioner Shell, who really wants high-speed internet in the rural area.
I'll take any internet just for the record.
All right, Commissioner Mo Taylor.
So this comes out of the 37 million?
Yes, sir.
When do we vote to accept the 37 million?
The 37 million's already been given.
Do we have to do something to accept it, though?
Yeah, they've already sent it to us.
Okay. Just clarification, I want to make sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is going through the Cumberland Electric?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Which will cover Portland, Gallatin.
I think that rural stretch where there's not a lot of high-speed internet available now.
Is White House covered by that, or is that?
Yeah,
Metro.
White House is Cumberland Electric.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you get into, I think around Goodlettsville, you get into NES.
Yes.
And then, that whole middle area where we got a big cone with no internet's right there with Cumberland Electric.
Okay.
Should help hit a big part of our, I guess Westmoreland, y'all have,
North Central.
yeah.
We got fiber optic.
Not to say that you're talking to Michelle, but,
Yeah, we got $50 million grant from the Put People Back to Work. North
great.
Central got that back years ago, so.
this will hopefully get us caught up in the middle part of the county where we really desperately need high-speed internet. All right, I see no one else in the queue. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Taylor.
Yes, sir. 2108-05, it says entering an agreement with the cities of Hendersonville and Gallatin to assist with funding needs for the Resource Authority of Sumner County. Just so everybody understands, there's a lot of work, moving parts on this one. It can't be voted on and approved tonight. We just wanted to get it introduced, and the reason being is we passed part of it on budget to get it to y'all tonight, so that way the Resource Authority could come and do a presentation, and we could ask it whatever questions we wanted to, and kind of really work that over and make sure we had the best decision in mind as far as the facility. And then what happens next month is if we continue to go forward, then we'll actually look at how we fund it and the different funding mechanisms, because right now it's set up between us, Hendersonville, and Gallatin, and there's a couple different ways we can do that. There's some people concerned to make sure we protect the county on that one. Again, it's way too much to try and do in one evening and expect people to make a decision on it. So that's why tonight, we don't vote on anything. We don't have to vote on anything. This was the mechanism to get the Resource Authority in here where they could do the presentation and we could ask the questions and answers about the facility, not necessarily how we're going to fund it yet.
Okay, so just to be clear, there's not a vote on anything involving the Resource Authority tonight. What we're doing is presenting it on the minutes and then having a presentation without objection from the Resource Authority to provide information. If things progress, then next month we'll take a vote. Okay, Commissioner Mansfield, did you want to speak before the presentation or you want to wait for the question and answer?
Would you like me to wait till after the presentation? I'm fine with either.
Yeah, if you want, why don't you wait and then some of the questions may be answered. Okay. All right, without objection, we'll have our Resource Authority come forward and share their presentation.
Mr. Kemp, I haven't touched it.
If you can turn the mic on there, Mr. Young.
I'm unaccustomed to this, as you can tell. My name is Jim Young. I'm on the board of the Resource Authority, and I have with me Larry Wright, who is our manager of the Resource Authority, and Ryan Maloney, who is our engineer. We've hired, he's been with us for quite a while, to help us on some of these projects. We thought we'd just kind of bring you up to date. I think all of you realize that we have a lot of people moving into Sumner County. And it's strange, but as these people move in, they have garbage. And what we're faced with at the Resource Authority is we are overloaded with garbage. The Rappahannock Road, some days, is backed up all the way down to the main road. We have individuals in that line, have stuff in the back of a pickup truck. They may have a trailer. Also, you have garbage trucks that are in there trying to get in, dump their garbage so they can go back out. We are really overloaded right now. So what we're proposing to do is to add a new station, a new transfer station. And what that will involve taking all of the local stuff that will come down and go to our old place, and we'll route all the commercial stuff to the new. But I'll let Ron talk to you a little bit about what our plans are, and then you can ask any questions. If you've never, I'll just say this, if you've never been to the Resource Authority, you need to go. Because I don't have to tell you, when garbage is not picked up, phones start ringing. And it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. So we are in a, I would call a crisis mode. But Ryan can talk. tell you a little bit about what we're doing.
Hey, good evening, Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Young. To give you a little more detail as to what Jim was speaking to, the Resource Authority's operated out of the same transfer station building for the last 35 years. And since 1991, we've had a lot of growth in Sumner County. That growth is manifesting itself to be problematic for the capacity of the transfer station. We can talk some numbers real quick. This facility was designed for about 350 tons per day. We're pushing out over 500. And this is on average. On peak days, we can be upwards of 600, 700 tons per day. They've done a magnificent job to date operating the station that's well beyond its useful life and capacity. So kudos to Larry and his team for doing that. With all of this volume and capacity issue that we've got, we also have a traffic problem. And some of you guys may have heard that through citizen complaint. But there's over 600 individual transactions that happen there today, or every day. They look at not only servicing residential users, but commercial users, small and large, as well as municipal users. So you've got cities of Gallatin, Portland, and Westmoreland that deposit their waste there as well. If you take the operating hours of the transfer station, that's about a transaction every minute. And to do that, you've got to get folks weighed in, you got to get them dumped, you got to get them out on the outbound scale and weighed out, and then they have to transact. They have to either pay if they're a private user or they're on an account. That may sound pretty quick, and it is, because normally you're looking at 5-10 minutes easily per transaction. So that explains some of the traffic woes that we got. As Jim mentioned, our plan is to develop a new transfer station. The Resource Authority's done several things to date to help that along. They have performed a solid waste study that's looked at Sumner County as a whole and specifically Resource Authority in a broad stroke and a broad light. The other thing they've done is they've done some preliminary engineering and due diligence on a piece of property they purchased just a few years ago, and that would be the site of the new transfer station. So they're investing in the next steps as we speak. We're finishing up the preliminary engineering study right now, and with that, we've determined that with a 500-ton per day facility can accommodate the current needs that we have for a new structure and handle solid waste as Sumner County grows more and moves forward. With that, we'd like to rehab the existing transfer station, which is about 350 to 400 tons per day. Obviously, we know it can do more because we're doing it today. And the other thing we're going to look at is, and actively pursuing in the preliminary engineering, is making the traffic routing more efficient. So, I think we defined the problem. We've got a good solution to move forward with. And with that, I wish I had some pictures to show you. I think Jim's spot on. If you guys get a chance to visit it or you have visited it, take a tour. We'll show you what's really happening behind the scenes. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Mansfield, you were up first in the queue if you have a question.
I guess I have a question and just some statements.
Sure.
So if there's anybody else has questions, I don't want to take up too much time. So
You're the only one in the queue right now.
Okay. So my only real big question is, I know that Davidson County charges more for out-of-county transfers than in-county transfers. Does Sumner County make a difference when charging anything for different out-of-county needs versus in-county?
Not currently, no, sir.
Okay, so everybody's paying the same from out-of-county and in-county?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's my only real question, Mr. Chairman. I guess I just had some concerns. Sure. It's kind of apropos that this has come up because I had a citizen call me probably end of June, kind of complaining about the issues that we're seeing right now. And he's an engineer, lives out in the county, and I had a really good long discussion with him, probably about 45 minutes or an hour. And at the time, I was like, well, I don't know what we can do about it other than just going and petitioning the Resource Authority and going to the meeting. But now that we have an opportunity to talk about this in public here, one thing that I know that our transfer facility is the closest for anybody within our own county, and I think half of Robertson, all of Trousdale, part of Macon, and North Davidson County, if I'm not mistaken. I know we service a pretty large area You guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that. So I think there's a lot of people who come and bring their trash, or there's a lot of transfers from those different spots. And with Davidson County charging more, I guess the problem I see is as long as they can get that kind of good deal here in Sumner County, why would they be, any impetus be on another county to build their own transfer station or their own facility? One of the concerns that this citizen had was that he felt that the facility had kind of been slowing down in efficiency to what he felt his opinion to try to promote expansion. Knowing that this is a Sumner County-owned facility, but it caters to commercial haulers, the problem being that the tipping fee rate is the same for anybody who comes out of county than here. I know that is just going to, exacerbate our problem as growth happens, is the fact that we're encouraging people to bring their trash here we're not getting compensated. And it's actually not fair to our citizens. The third thing that this engineer, he brought up to point to me as he's sat and waited 45 minutes, 1 or 2 hours in line at the Resource Authority when it used to not be that. His concern was inflation is rising with the printing of money. Fuel costs are rising because of political pressure. That some of these counties, instead of coming here, they might be more inclined to build their own transfer facilities or own facilities in their counties. And if they do that, if we're depending on revenue coming from out of county, from commercial transfers and things like that, I'm concerned if we're going to talking about borrowing $13 million, that we could have some serious budget shortfalls in the near future should other counties decide not to bring their trash, and that'll only delay the ability for us to pay off this debt. And that was a good point and grave concern of the citizens' point. So one of his opinions, a suggestion in order to try to help alleviate this problem was, you can increase the tipping fee to a reasonable rate for citizens that are residential and in county for disposing of trash. Honestly, the tipping fees for non-Sumner County haulers could be increased to simply discourage use and encourage other counties to build their own strategically located facilities instead of depending on ours. A good point was this facility should be managed with priority given to residential and in-county haulers for their trash. So I understand if this facility were operating as efficiently as it could and was still underserviced, then I think expansion could be considered. But I think based on some citizen feedback and looking at Google reviews on some of the things that have happened, I know the website for the Resource Authority, it seems to imply that the kind of things have gotten worse because of the pandemic. I couldn't quite figure that out a little bit, but based on feedback, it seems the improvements that were made several years ago actually made things worse and not better. Some observations was that I guess you guys rerouted the traffic and put it in a new scale. So now citizens can't go around the traffic. It's almost like a one-size-fits-all, first-come, first-served policy. You get in and out, and the commercial haulers and the residents who we should be catering to, they're not getting priority. And so I think a big issue is, this citizen's observation, which I agreed with, I thought of some good ideas. If you put the scales in and routed the trucks to the back of the property, and those trucks, they pay more for their fees, and you could leave the front entrance open for residents. And that was just some citizen feedback that I thought was very, very pertinent. But the basic thing is I feel that part of the problem is Sumner County residents have had to wait in line for out-of-county transfers in these commercial haulers when our job really is to service our residents first and foremost as a public entity. I know that this is mainly public, and it's great when public entities can make money and be self-sufficient, but when it's at the detriment of the property taxpayers and the homeowners, I don't see that as a good thing. And so when we're catering to out of town transfers, it becomes a problem. And I read some Google reviews, and basically people are complaining about the process. It changed. It's better before you guys made the improvements. It made the wait times longer, and it's ridiculous. Another Google review from 2 months ago said whatever the improvements were, they made this place a joke. It's ridiculously slow. He said it's better off burning your trash or throwing it off the side of the road, which is discouraging to hear people say that. And so I just don't think it's prudent for us to be borrowing money from citizens to serve businesses outside of the county when our residents aren't a priority as far as line, when we're not charging people from out of the county more money to place in our facility, which is overloading. Because all this growth you're talking about it's irresponsible growth. It's not growth that I've supported. And it's growth that the cities have put on a burden as a county that we have no way of funding. And now we're looking at wanting to borrow $13 more million for a problem that a lot of us didn't want to have to be created. So I think there are solutions outside of borrowing money and doing that when it comes to getting a flow different and charging different fees, again, to try to discourage some of the out of pocket stuff that's happening. So, and that our resolution states, as our county sees substantial growth, bringing with it more citizens and therefore more waste, ways to handle the waste must be addressed. Well, these are some practical things. Charge more money, discourage commercial hauling, do like what other counties do, encourage other counties to build their own waste facilities, be more efficient, make their commercial trucks go towards the back if you need to put in a new scale. For that, let residents come in the front so they're fast, or bypass the commercial traffic and don't have a one-size-fits-all policy. And prioritize our Sumner citizens, and because I think we can do something better than spending $13 million that I don't necessarily think we need to do right now. So that's just all, I guess, since we're not voting on anything. That was a lot of concerns brought up to me by the citizen, and looking at the reviews that he pointed out to me, I thought of some valid things to bring out. So I hope we can consider deferring this and tabling this at another time and maybe implementing a different strategy.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you, Mr. Mansfield. Mr. Good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Comment and a question. I've got a question for Larry or whoever, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
You remember off the top of your head our ballpark tonnage, let's say a decade ago versus today? Or ballpark?
I'll give you a data point.
Okay.
And I think it will help, with communicating with some of the citizens, some of the comments you brought up, Commissioner. One that sticks out in my head in 2014, we're receiving about 240 tons per day on average every day. 6 years later in 2020, that number is 520 tons per day. These are averages. You cannot double the throughput of solid waste through a facility that was, and if you think about, kind of flashback to the capacity related statement I made earlier, that facility is rated at 350, maybe 400 tons per day. So up until about 2016, when a new scale was needed, we were bumping up against that as Sumner County was growing and coming back from the Great Recession, and we far eclipsed that now, more than doubled. So we're, major capacity challenges there. We're pushing over 150,000 tons per year through that station. And so under that metric, in 2014, we'd been at 75,000.
Go ahead, Mr. Good.
Mr. Chairman, and I'd just like to add to there's no new news here. I sit on the resource with Commissioner Goodman and Commissioner Ring, and you've heard us bringing up about every 6 months that this day was coming for a few years now. My point of that question is, it just goes along with the growth of Sumner County. I know some people don't like growth, but you're growing or dying, and most of us prefer, I think, the fact that we're growing and doing real well. But we can't have a facility that is as dated as this and not updated. By law, we don't have many options. Tennessee Code 62-211-851 says we're going to deal with this one way or the other. That's state law. And so we have to deal with that. We don't even take any Hendersonville trash, by the way. This is everything but. And if Hendersonville ever gets to the day, which is questionable there, how they're handling theirs, that it would be beneficial for them to come here. If they said that tomorrow, we couldn't do it. So to reiterate, I don't think if we made a decision, you shouldn't be here if you made a decision based on Google reviews. Because nothing is popular as it relates to this, and except when the date happens that we can no longer deal with it, which state law is going to dictate it. And I reiterate by saying, we've been saying for a few years this date's come to deal with this debacle that we've got to deal with it. And it was mentioned it was Sumner County, I think, that was having these problems. It's not Sumner County. It is every county around us, especially in Middle Tennessee. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Good. Mr. Wright.
May I address them, or do I?
Yes, sir. You can go ahead.
Do you have the percentages of how much trash is coming in from other counties?
It has been around 15 or 20%.
Okay.
But the vast majority of it is Sumner County.
I also want to thank y'all. I don't know if you remember me or not.
I do, yes, sir.
But about 3 weeks ago I was in. These folks worked their butts off, people, trying to get everything done. You don't see them standing around. You don't see them drinking a cup of coffee unless they're driving somewhere or walking somewhere. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Commissioner Chris Taylor.
Commissioner Mansfield had some really valid points and good ideas. And I came out to see Larry for about 2.5 hours a while back, and we discussed almost every one of those. Would it be fair to say that y'all have exhausted every possibility, including all the ones he talked about, in trying to avoid having to do this? I guess my question is, even if we eliminated the 15% from outside of our county, did everything you possibly could, which I know y'all have already redirected it to try and avoid the lines, and you've done a lot of things that were brought up, and they've already been done. At this point, are we kind of there's nothing else to do, just based on the sheer volume, and it doesn't matter, all the others, even a Band-Aid's not going to help with this. I just want to make sure that we're kind of at that drop-dead point.
The current footprint of the facility, that's true. That's the reason we're looking at using this extra property that we've purchased adjacent to ours in order to expand, in order to help alleviate the traffic flow by splitting up the commercial and the residential smaller haulers. It's going to get people in and out a whole lot faster. But under the current scenario or the current footprint, even though we did do some improvements, new road improvements and new scale, everybody still has a funnel in to one particular area to try to dump, whether it be in the transfer station itself or on the outside in one of the roll-off boxes or other areas. So, yes, sir.
And I agree with Terry. They work hard out there. There's no doubt about that. So that was it, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Mr. Gamenden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One thing, we said that COVID had something to do with it, and it does, or it did, because more people stayed at home, more people ate at home, so they had, anyway, more trash that they brought. But the other thing about trash coming in from other counties, most of that, and they will agree, is construction trash. And maybe the contractor lives in Wilson County and has a Wilson County license plate, or Rutherford County, or wherever, but he's doing a job in Sumner County. And every month for the last 2 or 3 months, they've been polling the people that come through there and asking them what county they're from. And Ryan's holding right in his hand, they give us a report every month of how many tickets they do from Davidson County, how many tickets they do from Sumner County. Sumner County's like 9,000 or almost 10,000 tickets, and Davidson County's like 500. So it's a very few that's coming from other counties, but the most of that is Sumner County construction trash that come from construction sites in our county done by contractors from other counties. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gamenden. Mr. Ring.
Yeah, just wanted to add something. The comment that somebody thought that there was a slowdown on purpose, that person needs to go spend some time out there. There is no slowdown on purpose. We've raised the rates recently. Discussed, as Commissioner Taylor mentioned, we've discussed raising the rates differently from other counties. But how do you tell if somebody's from another county? You look at their license plate. Okay, again, what was said was, we got trucks from other counties coming in here and doing work in Sumner County. Are we going to send them away with Sumner County trash or with whatever? Another comment was made about discouraging commercial hauling. How do you think the people who live in the county get their trash picked up? Commercial haulers. We are the vast majority of what we are doing is in-county trash, I would venture to say. Because for example, Wilson County, other counties have drop-off centers where people can just drop off their trash. We don't have those. It's much more convenient for them to go to those than to come to our facility. So the Resource Authority has been dealing with this for a couple of years. trying to come up with a solution, and we feel that this is the best solution because it's going to get worse, folks. We've doubled our trash capacity, our trash volume, and it's not going to slow down. If like was said, if Hendersonville were to vote, Boma were to vote next week to end their trash contract and start bringing their trash to Sumner County, we couldn't take it because we don't have the capacity for it. Okay? So what's Hendersonville going to do? They would have to go somewhere else to dump their trash, and it's going to cost them a whole lot more money. So I know, there's some issues with Hendersonville's trash collection. I hear about it all the time. I don't live in Hendersonville, but I hear about it. So I understand there's issues. So it's very important that we have to expand this facility. Otherwise, here's the deal. If it doesn't get expanded and we have issues, we're going to have somebody from the state of Tennessee come down and close the facility. And what's going to happen when they close the facility? Your garbage will not get picked up. Okay? That's going to happen if we don't do something soon. Okay? I'm just saying, I'm not making a threat. I'm just saying that's bound to happen because we will not be following their guidelines. And they may shut us down. So we don't want that to happen. So we're going to have to start, if you haven't thought about other ways of doing this, you might want to go by the Resource Authority and take a look at it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ring. Mr. Hinton.
There was a time that I served on the county commission where every meeting we had, we talked about trash. Every meeting. So we built a recycling place, which turned out to not be so smart. We've tried about everything with trash that you can try. And for the last 7 years, this is the first time the trash issue has, and you ought to, before you sleep tonight, you ought to thank the Lord that this is the first time you've heard about trash in 2 years. If we are managing it, and if there, and let me say this, everything we do, everybody has a right to question if they want to. There's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. But what I would encourage you to do, if you have misgivings about where we're at, find out between now and 30 days from now. I mean, we don't need to redo the trash system here in this chamber. Find out what the problems are and come to some now we may not all agree, but we will agree if trash stops getting picked up. We'll agree to something and we'll do it pretty quick, probably the next meeting. So I would encourage you, let's resolve the issues that we'd like to talk about trash, get those out of the way and come to some reasonable agreement and do what's necessary to deal with trash. It's not going away, not going away. And I had, like I said, I hadn't had to sit through this discussion for the last 7 years. And I personally like it that way. Let's fix it as economically as we can and don't talk about trash anymore.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hinton. Back to Commissioner Mansfield. Or actually, hang on one second, Mr. Mansfield. I'm sorry. Commissioner Graves has not spoken yet, so I'm going to go to him first.
I just got a couple of comments. And I agree we're going to have to do something to cure the problem, maybe. Be proactive. Too late to be proactive, but we've got to be proactive now to do that. I don't know how many. I used to go probably once a week because I had a lot of other stuff, but I finally give up my wife, and I got a trash man now that takes my trash away. Now, I still might go out there with some big stuff, but I got where at the end when I was coming out there, 30, 45 minutes, an hour, I was sitting there. And it's not their fault. They're doing the best they can with what they got to do with the resources they got. So I agree with Mr. Hinton and probably much of y'all, we're going to have to do something soon.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Graves. It's not like the old days where we could burn everything out back, is it?
Well, I've done that time too.
Mr. Mansfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I I think it's a poor taste to disparage any comments from users, no matter what source they come from. I know these are real-world user cases about problems at the facility, and it's been noted that these, part of the presentation was, it's the lines and times is being used as part of the justification for doing this bond, and what the user feedback, and I do user experience design, so that's what I do for a living. I build websites. I do things based on user feedback, based on product experience, based on user testimonies, user stories. It's all based on what the user is saying is working and the user is saying is not working. So when I'm looking at this and looking at the data and looking at the user feedback of what they think is working and what they don't think is working, I take that into consideration. And I think it's very valid to do that and not to discourage that or disparage that. And they did notice, and a lot of citizens have complained about this, and these, again, I had a constituent that's an engineer. He called this. He thinks about these types of things and just solving problems. Not disparaging the work you guys do, but I'm just saying I'm passing along information that's been shared with me, and you need to know how the citizens feel about this. So that's all I'm doing. But that they have complained that you can't now go around the line to get where you need to go, and they used to be able to do that. That you could bypass the commercial trucks. The commercial trucks had to stay in line, and residents went around, and that stopped evidently. And that's what the feedback is from citizens, and that's caused a problem. And again, going back to cost-benefit analysis, like if we're not charging a different pay scale for somebody out of county, which sounds like 15 to 20%, that's a pretty large percentage of traffic coming in. And it's not just all commercial and construction traffic. It's junk haulers and salvage people like that. So it's just, we're getting a lot of just junk, no pun intended. So with that, so it's not just construction traffic that's coming from out of county. So again, I think there's just listening to the user feedback and what the citizens are saying, I think would be very considerate and could save us money and improve efficiency and flow. And that's just all I wanted to, just reiterate about that I just asking that we would just really consider that before we move to put a $13 million bond and put more debt on the county and the cities. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mansfield. Commissioner Taylor.
Yeah, I appreciate what y'all try to do over there. It's dealing with the trash and everything. I've been going there since probably the mid to late 80s when I worked for the city of Westmoreland, and there's no more boring of a ride with a full trash truck to dump when they used to have the transfer station there, or where they burn it, whatever you call that. So, but I will say this, I still go from time to time, and I went when it was the old way, when you went in and went out, and I went after it was changed. After it was changed, it was a lot worse for me. Took me a lot longer, and really there wasn't that many more people when I was there, the day I was there. So it just might need to still look at that somewhat, because it took me like a whole lot longer to do what I needed to do. Some of the other comments that was made, you can be against growth when it's not responsible growth. And we don't have responsible growth in this county, and here's another example of it. It's one thing to be responsible and have stuff paying for itself, and when your growth pays for itself, you don't put that burden on the back of all the other citizens, and that's what we've been doing, and that's what I'm tired of. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Stewart.
Just speaking from just what we've been listening to. Bingo. Just listening to what all the commissioners have said here, and also what the resource committee has said. We've heard that they have basically exhausted all the different means to try to address this without having to build a different facility. Is that correct? Am I fair in saying that?
We've looked at a lot of different options, yes,
sir. So growth is inevitable, especially for Middle Tennessee. It's, speaking from my experience with my personal job, we are a highly desired community here. Our education is great. Our taxes are great. People love this area because we have conservative values as well. So the growth is going to happen one way or the other. And us deferring that, and saying we can pass it on to another county, try to do other options outside the county, I just think that's the wrong decision. I think we need to address it head on and, get ahead of this while we can, because it's going to happen. The county's going to continue growing. People still love moving in here. That's just what I want to say.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Mr. Ring.
Yes, sir. I'd like to ask Larry if he could comment on the comments that have been made about having to go around the line, and now you can't, or that the scale has somehow made things worse. Could you address those comments, Larry?
Well, currently, a big part of the reason why traffic backs up is because a lot of people show up all at the same time. So you can only process so many people through there. And we do split the commercial traffic in the smaller haulers. The new road that we had coming in off the new inbound scale is wide enough for 2 lanes. So we keep the traffic going inside the transfer station in the left-hand lane and all the others going around that in the right-hand side. Now, when traffic gets backed up to the scale where you can't split it, then you got to wait till you get people through there to resume that. But the problem is still everybody gets funneled into one area, either dumping in the transfer station itself or side boxes off to the side. We've got a limited amount of space. We take tires. There's always a lot of tires there. Brush, we've got a separate area for brush, scrap metal, and then construction debris. So trying to get that many people bringing that many things into one general area to unload and get out sometimes can be a challenge and an issue. And I don't disagree that there is a problem. I wouldn't argue with that at all. But we do the best we can trying to get people split up and going in the areas as best we can to be able to unload and get out. There's not an intention to try to hold people up or aggravate people. Believe me. I'm there every day. I see it. So, if anybody knows what the situation is, it's us. So we're trying to do the best we can is all I can say.
Thank you, Mr. Ring. Mr. Mansfield.
So as far as if I've heard several commissioners say that you guys have addressed all the issues, so what is the decision on charging a higher fee from transfers out of county or people who are out of county in order to pay for this? And since all this growth we're getting out of county growth in the trash, so what are we going to do to pay for that out of county
Some
growth?
of the things that we get from out of county probably are from commercial haulers, big roll-off companies. My issue with that, and I'm open for suggestions, and we've been polling people as they come in. Got to get them as they go out, though, to find out where they're bringing loads in from, and we've been logging that. Our scale program allows for that. But if you start asking them on the front end, if you're coming from Sumner County and they know they're going to pay a higher fee, it's all going to be coming from Sumner County, and there's really not a way to prove whether or not it is in a lot of instances, I don't think. Especially with the bigger commercial haulers.
So there's no type of verification system or identification or any kind of forms people can fill out or download for a commercial hauler, any kind of system that could be implemented or anything like that. That just
All that does is slow down the process.
Well, I mean, for commercial haulers, definitely. I mean, I guess.
It would slow it down for everybody. You're right to ask everybody that comes in.
So, okay, I'm just curious to how. Just trying to think. Yeah, no problem. That's fine. You're more than welcome to. So, but yeah, just wanted to know. All right, thank you very much.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Mansfield. All right, I see no one else in the queue. Thank you all so much for your presentation. I just want to commend the body. What a great conversation about, as Mr. Hinton mentioned, it's been a problem or not a problem, but an issue we've had to deal with over many years. It's great to have in the times that we live in today, it's nice to have a really good civic discourse about problem that we face as a county and working towards a solution. So thanks, everyone, for participating in that. Mr. Taylor, thanks for bringing that up, and we'll come back to you now.
Yes,
We have two from the consent agenda that we pulled
Yes,
off,
sir.
2108-08.
Which is appropriating up to $200,000 from local capital funds for the Sumner County Administration Building and Archive Building rails. I so move, and I'll first defer to the county mayor so he can explain
Okay.
a little bit better.
All right, let me get a second. Second by Commissioner Good. Motion made by Commissioner Chris Taylor, seconded by Commissioner Good. And we're going to go to the county mayor, and then Mr. Mansfield will come back to you.
All right. I just walked in, so refresh me on what we're talking about.
$200,000 from local capital for the Sumner County Admin Building and Archive Building railings.
Yes, sir. All right, this was brought before General Op with 3 options. And the options were to take the railing down completely. They have no function but just architectural design. They're just for looks, aesthetic looks. Or to take the rails back off and remount them on the side because of the way they're mounted directly into the roof. This building was built in '89 and finished in 1990. They've been that way. And what they're doing, they're leaking, and they're actually leaking in your office, correct, David? And so it's causing a lot of problems. We repaired it over and over again. We've got a new membrane roof on the flat part. The architectural shingle sides are in fair shape, but really most of the leaks are coming from these railings because they're screwed directly down into the roof. And the only way to repair those is to take them off, cap that, basically flash the top, and to mount them on the sides. That's about a $200,000 fix. Now remember, these are estimates. It hasn't been bid out. We're getting ready to put a roof on the archives, so we've got to do something to those rails also. The other option, the most expensive option, and I don't have the sheet in front of me tonight, that basically General Ops rejected was to replace those with brand new railings. Now remember, no one has access to the roof area except for maintenance or technicians working on items. So they're not there for safety, they're not there for viewing, they're not there for any other reason but just architectural design. So the General Op Committee basically decided that option 2 was the best option, not taking them off to preserve the integrity as far as the look, the way the building was designed. It was a cheaper option to take those off, repair them, paint them, and then reinstall them in a correct way that was side mounted so it wouldn't leak. And I'll be glad to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman, about that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Holt. Mr. Mansfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate that explanation about removing option number 3. That's helpful to know. The $37,000 in our packet is a hard estimate to remove the handrails, dispose of all materials, patch roof leaks caused by the post locations, and maintain the current warranty. Basically, it sounds like those architectural railings are causing a lot more problems than we need. And obviously, relocating would require structural engineers, I'm sure, and architects, so I'm glad we're not looking at doing that. You know, on a flat roof, the least amount of penetration that you have, it's common sense that you're not going to have any problems because, the better off you're going to be. You got 93 posts, so that's 4 screws per post, or 93 post locations. That's 372 holes in the roof that has the potential for leaking unnecessarily. 100%, in my opinion, the best solution long-term is not to have these non-functional architectural handrails. These posts are hollow. Water can get trapped inside of them, and sitting on the bolts can easily find their way into flashing into the bolts and the screws. And as you all know, water is the most destructive force on the planet, and so why give it an opportunity it doesn't need? So, in my opinion, if you remove these handrails in a few weeks or months, nobody's going to even know they're not there. To be honest with you, it's not a necessary component. And so I'm going to move that we amend this main motion by striking out any references for up to $200,000 from the resolution wording and the budget adjustment. And I would like to replace it with the wording and amount of up to $50,000, which would, I think, be plenty to cover this $37,000 hard amount. So that I would like to move to do that, amend that, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made by Commissioner Mansfield, seconded by Commissioner Mo Taylor. The amendment is to change the wording from up to $200,000 to up to $50,000. So a yes vote is to change the amount. A no vote is to proceed with debate on the main motion of $200,000. Mr. Taylor, did you want to talk about the amendment, or are you on the main motion? Okay.
The railing and stuff like that, we spent a lot of money over the years, in the 11 years I've been here, painting and taking care of it. And I have to disagree with the former commissioner that just spoke. It does serve a purpose. It's a great place for a lot of birds to roost. We were out here the other night after a meeting, and there's all kinds of buzzards roosting on this building. And I told the EMA director, I said, well, that's because that's where your county tax dollars go to die, jokingly. But I do think that they're unnecessary. This is, the other option is going to save us thousands of dollars that we could put towards something else that's a whole lot, benefit our citizens a whole lot more than railings that most people probably never even notice to start with. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. All right, let's vote.
All right, the amendment is on the board. Each commissioner, please record your vote. $20 votes are entered. 21 votes are entered. There are 9 affirmative votes. The amendment fails to carry.
Okay. Back to the main motion. Commissioner Mo Taylor. Okay. Motion to refer back to budget by Commissioner Mo Taylor, seconded by Mr. Mansfield.
Okay, does he want that debatable or not?
Debatable or non-debatable, Mr. Taylor? Okay.
Well, the rules are backwards from Robert's Rules of Order. Refer is 16, which is the same as table, and that's no debate.
Okay.
The defer is 13, and that's with debate.
Okay. So we're going to defer with debate. Ms. Shell.
Thank you. I just want to say that this did pass through Gen Ops unanimously. Yes, the option was presented to completely take away the rails, and Gen Ops debated that, and we felt like those rails are part of the character of this building. We could strip this building down to 0 character, and we could do that with every county building that we have within our county, but specifically having gone through the process of working with the architects that are designing the new courthouse, those things do matter. It helps those buildings not to be so cold and to fit into the character of the area. And the white railings on this building do fit into the character of this area versus it just being a stone cold brick building. We could build a square building in the courthouse downtown in Gallatin, but it would stand out like a sore thumb. And I don't think that, the citizens want that. They want something that blends in with the character of the area buildings, their homes. I'm sure we could go to any of our homes right now that we live in, and they each have different things that give them character. And that's what makes Sumner County unique, and every county unique, is you go and travel all over the great state of Tennessee, and everybody has different little character pieces that fit within their community. And so from the Gen Ops debate, we felt like the railings on both of these buildings do add part of that character to this building, and it makes it welcoming for our public to come into it. And that is why we chose the middle option. We didn't choose the cheapest to get rid of them, and we certainly didn't choose the most expensive. We felt like the middle option that was presented was a value to the county in order to keep the character of this building. So I just wanted to let you know kind of the backstory of why we chose that in Gen Ops. And I fully do support that along with the committee because it did pass unanimously.
Okay. All right, thank you, Michelle. Mr. Becker.
Yeah, I was just pulled up on the internet. So we're talking about these white railings, okay. And I'm the way I'm sort of built and so forth, I couldn't even think of what we were talking about until I looked up at things. So I'm going to be voting no. I would have been in favor of the up to 50, but anyway, I just wanted to make sure that's what it was. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Becker. Mr. Driver.
I was just doing the same thing he was. I was trying to find a picture. I wish we had something. I certainly don't want to pay anybody to make a drawing, but I wish we could have kind of seen a representation that somebody could have done on Photoshop or something that we could see the difference in what the building would have looked like. I know it's a lot of money for that, but it does make a difference sometimes what is there or not there. And I'm just saying I wish we could have seen that before we voted on it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Driver. Mr. Mansfield.
Well, I'm glad Mr. Driver mentioned Photoshop. Being a design professional, I'm quite proficient in it. It took me about 5 minutes to do that. It costs no money at all. Looking at this building, it's not just a normal square building. This building does have architectural features that exist. It's got a dome on it, or I don't know what we call it officially in the architectural world, but it has different facings and facades and different depths and layers. So if you can go out there and sit and look and take your thumb or your finger and kind of wipe it out, and, after a second, you really don't even notice that rail's there or not there, and most people don't notice it when you don't drive up. It's an architectural feature, but it's not a necessary one, and it's not one that's going to detract because it doesn't really add anything at the same time. So when you actually look at it, so I just think I understand the argument about antiquities and beauty. So being a designer and almost an art history major, I understand a lot about antiquities. So that being said, you are not missing anything by this, and I think we could, save a lot of money for taxpayers and put it for something else better, like water lines or whatever. So there's a plug for you for the first commissioner. So again, I'm going to vote no for this. I hope we can defer it. I'd be glad to do Photoshop for you guys to see in budget to see what it looks like. You won't be able to tell. Again, I think it's one of those things. In the long run, you have a flat roof. It's causing water leakage. Let's save money in the long run from an efficiency standpoint, an engineering and architectural standpoint, and even from a visual standpoint, it's not going to be missed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mansfield. Mr. Gaminden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The rails were designed as part of the building, and I don't know about everybody else, but I do notice the details. And I will always, the rest of my life, notice whether the rails are there or not. And that's just me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gaminden. Commissioner Hinton.
For the question.
What's that? He moved for the question. Okay. All right. Is there a second? Okay, seconded by Commissioner Foster. So we've called the question on the motion to defer. Motion to defer. All right, let's vote on the motion to defer.
Question, no, we need to vote on the question.
Right, I'm sorry. The question, calling the question.
All right, the question to vote on the question to end debate is on the board. Each commissioner, please record your vote. $22 votes entered. Does anyone wish to change your vote? With 17 affirmative votes, the question is approved. We are now going to vote on deferral without debate, Mr. Hinton.
No debate. We're going to vote.
All right, the motion to defer is now on the board. Each commissioner, please record your vote. $22 votes are entered. Anyone wish to change your vote? With 7 affirmative votes, motion to defer fails to carry.
Commissioner Taylor, you were in the queue prior to the question being called. We're back on the main motion now. Did you want to speak to the main motion? Okay. And then Mr. Hinton, we'll come back to you.
We good?
Good.
Okay. Well, to talk about that, I remember I was in high school when this building was built. But I do remember it having a distinctive name, and it wasn't the county administration building. It was the Taj Mahal. So, you know, where we may see as architectural or pretty, a lot of times our taxpaying citizens see it as waste. So this is waste, in my opinion. When you could do something for 50,000, but you're gonna spend over 200, it's waste. It can be pretty, but the taxpaying citizen doesn't want pretty, they just want efficient and cost-effective. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Hinton?
Call for the question.
Well, there's no one else in the queue, Mr. Hinton. We're good. We can vote. All right, so let me just make sure we're all on the same page. A yes vote is to approve the $200,000 for the repair of the rails. No vote is to reject that. Oh, it's okay.
All right, the resolution is on the board. Each commissioner, please record your vote. With 8 affirmative votes, the resolution fails to carry.
Okay. Mr. Taylor?
Yeah. Got it. 2108-16, carry over fiscal year 2021 funding to fiscal year 2022 for various projects. What this is it's a bookkeeping. Every time we finish the year, there's always a little bit of carryover or wasn't spent. We designate it to be in those same funds and or same line items and move it over. That way we don't have to reappropriate it or go back. So I so move.
Okay. Second. Motion made by Commissioner Chris Taylor, seconded by Commissioner Shell. I see no one in the queue. Let's vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, I have Commissioner Mansfield. Anyone else voting no? Okay, Commissioner Mo Taylor. So by a vote of 20-2, the motion 2108-16 passes. All right, and with that, we have no other business. Yes, Mr. Graves. Yes, sir.
The money that the American Recovery Funds, what's the process for a utility to proceed with that? Do what? Well, somebody else might want to know. What is that process?
You're saying for a utility company to apply for it?
Yes.
Actually, they can't. The only people that decide how it's spent are the people in this room and the budget committee and everybody else. They can certainly petition a group, and I know Commissioner Taylor's going to have his subcommittee up and running for water. We've kind of put out to the utility companies that they need to come to us with I won't say it's a wish list because I think that's inappropriate, but it's a more expensive projects list than what they've had in the previous years, and we would discuss it then. But no, sir, there's not an appeal process or an application for anybody to do.
I don't think you understood my question. My question is, what do you do as a utility to get these funds approved for your utility, whatever that utility might be? And my case is Castaigne Springs Bethpage Utility.
Actually, probably the easiest way, Mr. Graves, is just put it on the budget agenda and we'll discuss it. And then we can go through it from there.
But you've got to bring something to the table.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Holt?
Well, let me, I think Commissioner Graves brought up a good point, and I think this is something we're going to need to deal with next. Broadband, water, sewer is pretty straightforward. The only difference is we're partnering with the state on this broadband. 10% of this money can be used for administrative fees. Our allocation county's allocation comes directly from the federal government. A city with less than 50,000 people, it's flow through, it goes to the state, and the state comptroller's office basically helps you manage that. And they indemnify you if they agree that you're going to use it for a purpose that it's not agreed upon by the federal government, and the federal government decides they want to claw back the money, then the state will indemnify you. However, my point I'm making is, I think, and I've talked to our finance director about it, our next move needs to be, we need to find an accounting firm or somebody to help us manage this whole process. There is 10% of those fees. You don't have to use 10%, but 10% can be used for administrative fees. We do not have the staff here in this building to manage this much money at one time. And so we need, as our next ask, right, David, to bring a firm in to make sure that this thing's managed right. The only grant writer of the county, and I'm happy for her, just had a baby. And so she had it this weekend, or last weekend. And she is not in any kind of shape, nor does she have the time to even try to manage something, and one person can't manage multiple projects. And remember, if we give this money to anyone, we are totally responsible for it, and if it's not used in the correct manner, then the federal government will, they're not going to ask for the money back, they're just going to take the money back. So just want to make you aware of that. I think we need to try to get a firm in place before we get too far ahead of ourselves. I was contacted by CTAS, and they're saying we need to start moving forward because the federal government may start taking some of this money back anyway and using it for the infrastructure bill or the new push by the Biden administration to social engineer some new programs that they want to do. So anyway, just wanted to give you some information.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Holt. Mr. Becker.
With 2108-08 being, I guess, voted down or whatnot, I'd like to reconsider the amendment that was brought forth about the up to 50,000 expenditure.
Point of clarification, I don't think we can go back to the amendment if we
Yeah.
It needs to go back to budget. I think it needs to go back to general op and discuss it.
Okay.
It came up about 2 months.
So they just have to restart it. Okay.
We almost voted on the amendment after we got here from the main resolution.
Yeah, that's going to have to just start over in general ops, Mr. Becker, and talking to the law director.
Okay.
You'll have to come back to the
I think we
process.
could do it, but it'd be pretty complex, but okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, do we have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Hinton, motion to adjourn.